This is but this is a customer's newly refurbished Whirlpool washer. This customer brought this machine to me. It had a whole slew of problems. The main issue was that one of the cam bars had bent. He had had somebody work on it. They ended up disassembling it even more and basically leaving him with more or less a hunk of scrap metal. This is a early 80s Whirlpool washer. I'll show you guys the control panel. But it's a pretty basic machine. It just has your load size from extra small or hand washables all the way to extra large. Cold wash, cold rinse, warm wash, cold rinse, and a hot wash, cold rinse. It also has just a few different cycles. It's got a soak cycle, knits, permanent press, and then the regular cycle. It's a pretty solid little machine. One of the notable features with this washer is that it does have a manual clean filter here, which I've used before. Clean that out. Okay. I always thought those were kind of cool. I like to see like the waterfall type of effect. I ended up having to do quite a bit of work to this washer. In order to replace the cam bar, I basically had to remove the transmission. And when you remove the transmission, like, it never comes apart nice. So the transmission shaft got stuck into the spin tube, and then the spin tube got stuck in the actual, I don't know what you call it, the table of the washer. And so after much beating and cursing, we finally got everything removed. But basically I had to replace, in order to fix that cam bar, I had to put a good used transmission in, a new spin tube, new clutch pads for the spin tube, a new wig-wag, a new belt, a new pump, and we also actually had to replace the tub. This had a speckled porcelain tub, but the side post was really rotted out, and it didn't look like it was going to hold on for too much longer, so we ended up finding a nice used white tub to put in here. And of course, once you take all that stuff apart, you're going to create leaks, so I had to replace the main tub seal, aka the donut, and then I had to replace the lip seals for the spin tube. That's the seal that goes between the table and the spin tube. Maybe I did another O-ring or something somewhere. I can't really remember off the top of my head. This machine has been quite the ordeal. People should realize with these older belt drive washers is that the newest one is like almost 40 years old now. So none of them are new anymore by any stretch of the imagination. And parts are not super common anymore. Like, finding a good used transmission is not something that you could just find on eBay in a hot second for 50 bucks. Just the amount of work that went into this machine was just absolutely... I'm sad that I didn't do a video on it because I thought it was going to be a relatively straightforward repair, but it wound up being an absolute basket case, which is kind of what I thought. You know, a lot of people ask, like, what do you charge to kind of refurbish a machine like this? And, well, quite frankly, the answer at this point would be, like, you know, it would be into the thousands at this point. You know, 1,000, 1,500, maybe even $2,000, depending on what all I had to do. Thankfully, my friend Bob had a bunch of used parts that we were able to put into this machine, like the transmission, the spin tube. He had a new one, a new old stock one, and then he had a good basket that we could install. If I had to buy all those parts separately, I mean, this would have been a $1,500 to $2,000 kind of restoration. And I didn't really do any, like, fancy cosmetic stuff. I just kind of got the guts working again. It's really very intense to fix these machines at this point because they don't come apart nice. They do come together nice once you got everything cleaned up, but they definitely don't want to come apart in one piece, that's for sure. So anyways, I finally got everything worked out. If you watch some of my previous videos on this machine had a squeak during the spin. It was because I was missing a bolt on one of the transmission mounts, one of the brackets that holds the transmission in place, and it was just kind of rubbing a little bit, had a little squeak to it. I also needed to fix one of the rear self-leveling legs, which I've done. And so this machine is absolutely ready to go now, and hopefully will give this customer another 20 years of trouble-free service. You know, aside from maybe just basic maintenance stuff like a belt or whatever. But all like the inner guts, the hard stuff is done, and he should be good for a very, very long time. So to kind of send this machine off, I'm going to do my laundry in it. I'm going to wash my work pants in here first and just kind of see what goes on with it. One thing I will note is that we did adjust the water level so it does fill up almost clear to the top here. So it fills up just to the top of the fin. And I'll do that with this load of pants just so you could see that it does quite fill up very nicely. This machine does have great turnover. It sounds nice. It has a nice woo-woo effect, which is what we're looking for with these machines. It's when you know it's working well. And really, that's about it. So let me grab some soap. Alright, so this is by no means a full load. This is just 5 pair of pants. That's just kind of what I had. And I'm going to do about a 10-minute wash. I'm going to use the regular cycle. I'm going to do a warm wash with the cold rinse. And for this load, I am going to do the full maximum fill, even though it's probably a bit too much. But I'm only going to do 3 more loads in this machine just because it's done and I'm kind of eager to get it back into the customer's hands. So here's the early 80s Whirlpool belt drive. We're going to use regular wash, 10-minute wash, warm wash, cold rinse. Here we go. So as you can see, this washer did a fantastic job, of course. The clothes are definitely heavy. That's one thing about this machine. It only spins at like, I don't know, I think it's 550 RPMs or something like that. So the clothes are definitely going to have a little bit of weight to them. Not that you're going to be able to wring any clothes out of it, or I'm sorry, not that you're going to actually be able to wring any water out of it, but they'll feel heavier than most. But, you know, this machine does a fantastic job washing, rinsing. You know, there's a few reasons why they would have not made a machine like this anymore. Is A, this machine was incredibly expensive when it was new. Even with this being a basic model, this probably, you know, adjusted for inflation, was well over $1,000, and arguably probably two. You know, these machines were $500 back in the late 70s. You know, so this was a big ticket, a big ticket item when it was new. Secondly, it uses quite a bit of water, quite a bit of electricity. I mean, this thing is no slouch. It's got a 1/2 horsepower motor. It's running all the time. It has basically the most inefficient drive system that you could possibly think of. I mean, it's losing power through the belt, through the gears, through transmission. It's constantly running the pump. You know, there's just a lot of parasitic loss on this whole drive system. And it's, you know, moving a very heavy tub too. So it's not like... This thing was designed to be a 20-year washer, and they were built so well that they were easily 30-year washers. But now that they're mostly approaching the 40-year mark and older, they're definitely, a lot of them are reaching their bitter end at this point. They're just, you know, too rusty, too wore out. Parts are too difficult to find. You know, this is a machine that you would restore only if you had a really good one, or if you had very deep pockets, that's for sure. And it's not really a machine you want to use as your regular washer, because this would cost quite a bit to run on a daily basis as far as water and electricity is concerned. So anyways, I'm going to do 1 or 2 quick more loads with this machine, and then I'm going to button it up and call it good, and hopefully a customer will pick it up pretty soon, and it'll live a mundane, boring life of just being a good washing machine for somebody. Thanks for watching.